Members, just gone 2:31. We have a technical quorum and now call the meeting to order. Item number 1, confirmation of minutes of the meeting. Minutes of the 24th meeting held on May the 26th. As of today, members have made no comments on the minutes. Can I take the minutes as read? All right, minutes taken as read. Item 2, matters arising. Meeting with the CS. After reporting on the routine items, the CS made the point that the administration is very concerned about the scrutiny of funding proposals. The CS pointed out that since mid-December 2016 to May 26th, that's last Friday, a total of 82 hours were spent on the FC meetings. Only 17 items have been endorsed. Each item would take 4.9 hours, compared with 2015-16. On average, each item would take 2 hours, and in the fifth term it was 1.8 hours. The CS said that on Public Works, the Finance Committee endorsed 4 items, or $11.3 billion, including CWRF block vote of $9.6 billion and 3 new projects of $1.7 billion. And this is far less than the anticipated 50 projects that will be endorsed. That would be $142 billion, or providing 36,000 jobs. In 2015-16, the FC endorsed 70 projects, or $88.2 billion, including 65 projects of $53.4 billion. The CS said that on creation and extension of directorate posts, the FC only endorsed 5 posts, far less than the 38 proposed. The CS made the point that the scrutiny has been extremely worrying in terms of speed, and this would impinge on the government spending and also job opportunities. The CS will be meeting pro-establishment and PANDAM members to identify solutions. We also suggested that there should be more time spent on meetings for the FC and the 2 subcommittees to clear the backlog. The CS said he would be only too delighted to meet members to identify solutions. I'm given to understand that the President is and the CS are liaising with members of different political persuasions to identify solutions. Business arising from previous council meetings, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on May the 26th and tabled in council on May 31st. Legal advisor, please, LS 71. Madam Chair, there are 3 items of subsidiary legislation. The first 2 has to do with amendments for disbarred barrister wishing to become a solicitor. Now, the first one is Admission and Registration Amendment Rules 2017. For disbarred barrister, there should be a Bar Council certificate which will contain certain information. All the details are set out in 2A of the report. The barrister will need to fulfill one of these conditions when seeking exemption from trainee solicitor contract. The next one is the Trainee Solicitor Amendment Rules 2017, and this is the corresponding amendment to the previous, arising from previous amendment. This has not been taken to the AJLS panel, but the Law Society did consult the Bar Council, which raised no comments on the amendments. All right, members, do you see the need for A subcommittee for items 1 and 2. No, legal advisor, please. The third one. The third one is Import and Export Strategic Commodities Regulations, Amendment of Schedule Order 2017 Commencement Notice. This is to appoint the 3rd of July 2017 as the day on which the Import and Export Strategic Commodities Regulation Amendment of Schedule 1 Order 2017 comes into operation. And this is to reflect the latest changes made to the control lists of strategic commodities adopted by international non-proliferation regimes. Subcommittee, Dr. Kwokaki proposes a subcommittee. Any member wishing to join? There will be further circulation of invitation. Just a reminder that for amendments, the deadline is the 28th of June. If extended, then the first meeting of the next legislative year. Next, further business for council meeting of June the 7th. A. Tabling of papers. Report number 19/1617 of the House Committee report. There are 2 items. The deadline for amendment will be the 7th of June. No members indicate any intention to speak. B. Bill, first and second reading. Medical Registration Amendment Bill 2017. We will deal with these at the House Committee meeting on the 9th of June. C. Members' motions. Motion under Article 73(9) of the Basic Law, which is jointly initiated by 28 members and will be moved by Mr. Alvin Young. The wording of the motion has been issued vide LC paper number CB3611. Each member will be allowed to speak once. Each will be limited to 15 minutes. The mover will be speaking twice, each for 15 minutes. 2. Motion under Rule 49B1A of the Rules of Procedure to be moved by Ms. Claudia Mo. The wording of the motion has been issued on May the 29th. Item 5, business for council meeting of June the 14th. Questions. We have 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written. B, bills first and second reading. 1, Statute Law Miscellaneous Provisions Bill 2017. 2, Chinese Medicine Amendment Bill 2017. 3, Protection of Endangered Species of Animals and Plants Amendment Bill 2017. We're going to have these dealt with on June the 16th House Committee meeting. C. Bill resumption of debate on second reading committee stage and third reading. Arbitration Amendment Bill 2016. On May the 19th at the House Committee, members raised no objection to the resumption. D. Government motion. Proposed resolution to be moved by STH under Section 53B of the Public Bus Services Ordinance, Cap 230, in relation to KMB 1933 Limited. The wording of the proposed resolution has been issued to members on June the 1st. E. Members' motions. We're going to deal with the motions that stand over from previous meetings. These are non-binding motions. Dr. Helena Wong. Madam Chair, June 4th motion, will this be taken on June the 14th? Your motion will be taken on June the 7th. June the 7th? The members' motions, if you look at C1 and 2, they are about Mr. Alvin Young's motion and Ms. Claudia Mo's motion. What about the June 4th motion? Is it going to be on the 14th or 7th? Well, the 2 motions moved by Mr. Young and Ms. Claudia Mo will be moved under the relevant provisions of the Basic Law, and they will precede the non-binding motions. We will have these 2 motions out of the way before we move on to the 2 non-binding motions. So there will be 3, 4. There will be 4 motions. All right, thank you. F, request for special leave of the Council to give evidence of Council proceedings under Electrical Powers and Privileges Ordinance, Cap 382 and Rule 90 of the Rules of Procedure. The SJ's request has been set out in CB2 625 1617. The SJ makes the request for Electrical to give special leave for 2 members and 5 staff to give evidence in court. There are 9 items that will be ending on June the 14th. That will be tabled. If members would like to speak, please notify the Secretariat before June the 6th, Tuesday. Item 6, reports of bills, committees and subcommittees. A, reports of the Bills Committee on cross-border movement of physical currency and bearers negotiable instruments bill. Dr. Elizabeth Kwok, please. Madam Chair, thank you. The bill seeks to establish a declaration and disclosure system to detect the cross-boundary movement of a large quantity of CBNIs into and out of Hong Kong, to provide for the powers to restrain the movement of CBNIs suspected to be related to money laundering and terrorist financing, and to provide for related matters. The Bills Committee has held 2 meetings with the administration. During the deliberations, members discussed, among others, the types and thresholds of CBNIs that should be declared and disclosed, the specific arrangements of the system, the level of penalty. The BC's deliberations are set out in the report. Neither the administration nor the BC will move any amendments. Members have no objection to the resumption of second reading at the Council meeting on June the 14th. Thank you. Thanks very much. B, Arbitration Amendment Bill, Mr. Chi Ming on behalf of Mr. Dennis Kwok. Madam Chair, the Bills Committee has completed its work. The bill seeks to amend the arbitration ordinance and the mediation ordinance to ensure that the third-party funding of arbitration and mediation is not prohibited by the common law doctrines of maintenance and champerty, and to provide for related measures and safeguards. During the course of deliberations, the BC focused its attention on the meaning of third-party funding. 2, meaning of funding agreement. 3, safeguards to be provided by the Code of Practice and the consequences of non-compliance. 4, application of the new Part 10A of the AO2 mediation. For details, members may wish to refer to the report itself. The administration indicated that it will move CSAs to the bill. The BC has already examined the administration's CSAs and has no objection to them, nor will the BC move any amendments. The Bills Committee has no objection to the resumption of second debate at the Council meeting on June the 14th.
Thank you. Let me remind members that if they intend to move amendments to the 2 bills, the deadline for giving notice is the 5th of June, which is a Monday. C, report of the Subcommittee on Technical Legislative Amendments on Traffic Arrangements for the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. I now ask the Chairman of the Subcommittee, Mr. Ben Chen, to speak. Madam Chairman, the Subcommittee has completed the scrutiny on technical legislative amendments on traffic arrangements for the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, namely LN 60 to 65, which are subject to negative vetting, and 1 proposed resolution which is subject to positive vetting. The Subcommittee has held 2 meetings. Members support the technical legislative amendments and will not move any amendments. The Subcommittee also supports the government's motion of the proposed resolution on the 28th of June Council sitting. During the deliberation of the subcommittee, members have expressed concern on the adoption of right driving arrangement and supporting measures on the Hong Kong Link Road. Members have also discussed about other operational matters such as traffic management and law enforcement, rescue in case of accidents or emergencies, insurance for cross-boundary vehicles and parking at boundary crossing facilities. The subcommittee agrees that views on the operation of the bridge will be referred to the Transport Panel for following up. Details of the deliberations of the subcommittee can be found in the report. I ask members to note the report. Thank you, Mr. Ben Chan. Let me remind members that the 6 subsidiary legislation for negative vetting, there is a deadline of amendment, which is the 14th of June, the council sitting. For members who would like to move amendments, the deadline for giving notice is the 7th of June. If members would like to move amendments on the 28th of June council sitting, the deadline for giving notice is the 21st of June.
公告修訂令小組委員會報告。小組委員會我而家請小組委員會主席郭家麒議員發言。
主席，2017年吸煙公眾衞生公告修訂令下稱修訂令的目的，旨在更改
The Smoking Public Health Notices Amendment Order 2017 seeks to amend the order to put in place the requirement regarding health warnings for tobacco products, packages, and retail containers, as well as the tar and nicotine yields. We've held 5 meetings and 1 public hearing to listen to the deputations. Members expressed concerns about the proposal to increase the graphic health warnings from 50% to 85%, and members doubt whether it would be effective in reducing the number of smokers. Also, that would leave very little space for brands and trademarks, and that would amount to a deprivation of IP rights. And this would also aggravate counterfeit activities. Some members said that international experience shows that the larger the graphic warning, the more effective it will be. The WHO advocates plain packaging for tobacco products. In the long run, Hong Kong should adopt this arrangement. Members note that for cigar containers, the Chinese version should cover 70% of the front of the container, but for English, it should cover 100% of the largest surface. On the latter, since cigar containers come in different shapes and sizes, some members express concerns about the likely prosecution arising from marginal variation caused by the labour process. Mr. Junius Ho, Mr. Siu Ka-fai and Dr. Fernando Zhang expressed their intention to make amendments to the coverage size of the graphic warnings. Mr. Ho and Mr. Xiu's amendments seek to reduce the coverage, whereas Dr. Zhang's amendments seek to increase the coverage. Furthermore, members generally express concerns over the fact that the seal and soft packaging will overlay some of the health warnings, and it would take time for the manufacturers to change the design to be in compliance. After consideration of members' views, the administration will move amendments to provide a new set of graphic warnings for soft packaging and lay down requirements for the seal and the fixtures. Members also said that if they expand the electronic version of the graphic warnings, the landscape mode will experience distortion of the images. In the light of the concerns, the administration will move amendments to provide a new set of graphic designs for landscape mode. Some members requested that more time be allowed for the manufacturers to change the packaging and also to clear their stock. the administration agreed to change the commencement date from 21st of October 2017 to the December 21st, 2017. From that day on, the manufacturers can sell both the old and new products. However, from the 21st of June 2018, all products should carry the new graphic warnings on the packaging. We had a meeting this morning to discuss all the various amendments moved by the administration. The committee did not have any objection to the amendments. In the light of members' comments, the administration will be making textual amendments, and the whole set of amendments will be made available for members' information. Depending on members' comments on the proposal, we may decide whether we need to have further meetings. We will be submitting a written report later.
Thank you, Dr. Kokaki. Let me remind members that the order scrutinized by the subcommittee, the scrutiny period will expire in the council meeting on the 14th of June. If members are to move amendments, the deadline for giving notice is the 7th of June. E. Report of the Subcommittee on Promotion of Recycling and Proper Disposal Electrical Equipment and Electronic Equipment Amendment Ordinance 2016, Commencement Notice 2017, and Product Eco-Responsibility Regulated Electric Equipment Regulation. I now ask the Chairman of the Subcommittee, Mr. Lo Wai Kwok, to speak. Thank you, Madam Chair. The Promotion of Recycling and Proper Disposal Electrical Equipment and Electronic Equipment Amendment Ordinance 2016 Commencement Notice 2017 Commencement Notice for short seeks to bring into effect some of the provisions under the ordinance on the promotion of recycling and proper disposal electrical equipment and electronic equipment to prepare for the implementation of the Waste Electronic and Electrical Equipment WEEE Producer Responsibility Scheme. The subcommittee held 3 meetings to study the amendment notice. Members note that the administration plans to start accepting applications for license to dispose of WEEE from the 19th of June 2017, the date when relevant provisions come into effect. They plan to issue another commencement notice at the beginning of next legislative year to start the control of this license before the end of 2017. The subcommittee notes that the recycling trade has indicated that there is not enough time to prepare for the compliance with licensing conditions. They are concerned that failure to meet the licensing conditions means they can't continue to operate a business of disposing of waste electrical equipment after the licensing regime comes into effect. The subcommittee has discussed with the administration on whether the licensing control can be postponed or whether measures such as grace period or short-term exemption can be introduced. The administration has indicated that since the enactment of the amendment ordinance, they have briefed the trade on licensing conditions. The current arrangement to accept application early is to give sufficient time for the trade to apply for a license before the licensing control comes into effect. However, considering the trade's concerned members' views, the administration has indicated that they would actively consider whether to postpone the implementation to the beginning of 2019 to give more time to individuals to complete the application. The administration will stipulate the effective date of the control in the next commencement notice to be gazetted later. The subcommittee and the administration will not move amendments. The subcommittee will submit a written report shortly. The subcommittee will continue to scrutinize the Product Eco-Responsibility Regulated Electrical Equipment Regulation. The subcommittee will report its deliberations to the House Committee in due course. Thank you, Mr. Low. Let me remind members that the commencement notice scrutinized by the subcommittee will expire on the 14th of June when it comes to its amendment period. If members are to propose amendments, then the deadline for giving notice is the 7th of June, which is a Wednesday. Item 7, position on Bills Committee and Subcommittees. I ask members to note that as at 1st of June, Thursday, there are 10 Bills Committee in action, 18 subcommittees under the House Committee, 5 subcommittees on policy issues under panel. And on the waiting list, there are 8 subcommittees on policy issues. 8. Nomination and election of a member for appointment to the Select Committee to inquire into matters about the agreement between Mr. Leung Chun-ying and the Australian firm UGL Limited to fill a vacancy in the membership of the Select Committee. On the 26th of May, House Committee meeting, members agreed that in accordance with paragraph 4 of CB bracket 21479/16 to 17, that is, namely the procedure for nomination and election, so that today one member will be nominated and elected to fill the vacancy in the membership of the Select Committee. In accordance with the nomination and election procedure, and a valid nomination has to be made by one member and seconded by at least one other member and accepted by the nominated member. Here, Ms. Claudia Mo, I nominate Mr. Leung Kok Hong. Ms. Claudia Mo nominates Mr. Leung Kok Hong. Seconded by Mr. Kenneth Leung. Mr. Leung, do you accept? Yes, I do. Mr. Gary Chan. I nominate Mr. Stephen Ho. So Mr. Gary Lam nominates Mr. Stephen Ho, seconded by Ms. Priscilla Leung. Mr. Ho, do you accept? Yes, I do. Any other nominations? Ms. Wong, Ms. Helena Wong. I ask the 2 nominated members to openly declare here in this House Committee that they will not collude with the person under the investigation, Mr. Leung Chun-ying. Any other nominations? If there are none, then the nomination period comes to an end. Dr. Kwokaki, what is the point of order? No, I just would like to let the 2 nominated candidates to speak, because Ms. Wong has made her point very clearly. Perhaps they should be given time, and then they should answer questions asked by members. Mr. Ray Chan, I would like the 2 candidates to declare whether previously Mr. Leung has proposed or will nominate them into some special office in public organizations. Ms. Claudia Mo? Well, the filling of this vacancy is rather sensitive, because we're very concerned that the same thing will happen. That's why we would like to see if candidates would be able to make any promises and whether they are willing to answer our questions. In accordance with a previous appointment of members into Select Committees, there has been no arrangements for nominated candidates to state their platform. I hear that some members would like to ask questions. Let's see if the 2 nominated candidates would like to reply. Of course, when it comes to declaration of interest, they have to declare as required. And I asked them to refer to the rules of procedure when it comes to requirement of declaration. Well, if we don't have the practice of question and answer session, but I will give you 1 minute if you would like to reply. Mr. Leung Kok Hong, I don't know Leung Chun-ying. That means I don't know him personally. Mr. Michael Look. Madam Chair, I doubt Mr. Leung's integrity, because it's impossible that he doesn't know Leung Chun-ying. I do think it is a matter of integrity. if the first thing coming out of the candidate's mouth is cast out on his integrity, I wonder whether that person should join the select committee. I think this has been widely discussed in society. Mr. Leung, anything else? On a number of occasions, when he asked legislators to go and talk to him, I've always been chased away. He even asked police officers to chase me away. And well, I think yesterday was the closest I have ever been with him, because I was doing things with the puppet. If you allow me to join this select committee, no, I will. Please be quiet. It's time for Mr. Leung to speak. But let them finish with what they're doing first. I will work in accordance with the rules of procedure. Anything else you would like to add? You only have 1 minute, because it is at my discretion. There has never been any precedent, given that members have made various points. Mr. Stephen Ho. Well, when it comes to public office, I'm a member of the Agricultural Fisheries Advisory Committee. It requires the appointment of the chief executive. You might say that this is conflict of interest. I do think that Mr. Leung is indeed a very suitable candidate, because he's very good with financial tricks, because he received hundreds of $1,000s, and yet he speaks as if he's beyond reproach. And he even asked, and I even hear Ms. Claudia Mo saying that he would get a lot of support. So So I would like to see how many members would be able to see through all this and cast their vote for Mr. Leung. Since there is more than one nomination, members will have to use the electronic voting system to select a member, to elect a member to join the select committee, so that the members of the select committee will be able to select a new deputy chairman. After that, the House Committee will resume and ask members to endorse the results of the election. And I'll ask members to cast your vote. Please choose the name on the voting panel in front of you to select at most one member. You will be able to see the two nominated candidates. Number 1 is Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Number 2 is Mr. Stephen Ho. Let me remind you that you only have to click the candidate you prefer on the tablet. Does any other member require more time? Have you all finished with your vote? Ms. Wong? Is it a division or not? It is. If there are no other questions, please be quiet. If you don't require extra time, please check your votes. If there are no problems, voting closes. And please display the result and announce the number of votes the candidates received. Mr. Stephen Ho, 31. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, 22. Mr. Stephen Ho has received the most votes. He is to be appointed a member of the Select Committee. The meeting is adjourned. I now ask members of the Select Committee to go to room 4 to elect a new deputy chairman.